This is Top Accolade African News Updates. I am Soibifa Jackridge. The FDA said it was intervening because it feared the scheme to send some asylum seekers to Rwanda could force officials to break the law. Under a new law, ministers can ignore the European Court of Human Rights and direct officials to organize flights. The union wants the High Court to rule on whether that element would put civil servants in a difficult legal position. The FDA fears civil servants could be stuck between judges and ministers that a direction to breach international law would put them in conflict with the civil service code. The government said advice from Darren Tierney, its head of property and ethics, says the code would not be breached. In a letter published on the government website, Mr. Tierney wrote, "In implementing the decision, civil servants would be operating in accordance with the civil service code, including the obligation not to frustrate the implementation of policies once decisions are taken. The Rwanda plan is the key part of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's pledge to stop migrants from crossing the English Channel in dangerous dangers. The safety of Rwanda legislation overrules last November's Supreme Court decision, which said that the country was not a safe place to send genuine refugees because they could be returned from there to their home countries and subjected to torture and abuse. It also limits what kind of legal challenges they can present to the courts, and crucially, says ministers could choose to ignore a temporary order from the European Court of Human Rights to halt flights while a case is still being considered. The University of Sheffield said more than 740 million people around the world do not have access to electricity. The Mopo batteries have been designed by a Sheffield-based battery technology company, Mobile Power. They can provide power for appliances used for cooking, fridges, and charging mobile phones. The batteries can help connect communities to electricity, the university said. Dan Gladwin, professor of electronic and electrical engineering, said more than 740 million people don't have access to electricity around the world, and for many off-grid communities or those with unstable power networks, the only reliable power supply sources potentially available are petrol and diesel generators. He said those were often expensive and could be dangerous and damaging to the environment. People will be able to rent the batteries when needed through a cloud-based platform rental system, and they will be charged at solar-powered hubs. Engineers from the university have been working with the Mobile Power company since 2017 through sharing their skills in electrical engineering to help the company extend the lifetime of their battery cells. More than 14 million Mopo battery rentals have already been made in Nigeria, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Chad, and Uganda. Some farmers in Uganda have hired gunmen to protect their cocoa as thieves attempt to cash in on the crop's increased value. Global cocoa prices have reached the highest point in over a decade as dry weather hinders farming in Ghana and Ivory Coast, the biggest producers of cocoa in the world. According to Mutanga Grace, a Ugandan cocoa farmer and CEO of Mukulima Exports, Uganda, roughly 30% of the cocoa beans produced in the East African country is being stolen. Attempts to protect their cocoa, which is a key ingredient in products like chocolates, ice cream, and cake. Cocoa in the country right now is like a hot cake. Someone takes little but has taken a lot of money, he said. A UN-sponsored court in the Central African Republic says it has issued an arrest warrant for the former president, Francois Bozize, in connection with alleged crimes against humanity. The court said the warrant was for atrocities committed by military personnel under Mr. Bozize's command between 2009 and 2013. He was overthrown more than a decade ago and lives in exile in Guinea-Bissau, but is the head of the main rebel group fighting in the Central African Republic. Last year, Mr. Bozize was sentenced in absentia to forced labor for life for conspiracy and rebellion. That is the size of Top Accolade African News Updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Thursday.